This is U.S. President Donald Trump. He's welcoming the president of Chile, and Trump is making these comments ahead of their meeting just moments ago. Let's watch.
That's great. Mr. President, any comment on the request for a delay from Senator Flake? He wants a one-week delay so the FBI can investigate further.
Well, I'm going to let the Senate handle that. They'll make their decisions, and they've done a good job. Very professional. I'm just hearing a little bit about it because I've been with the president of Chile, and we're talking about some very important subjects. But I'm sure it will all be very good. I guess the vote was a positive vote, but there seems to be a delay. I'll learn more about it as the day goes on. I just heard about it because we were together.
And what did you think of Dr. Ford's testimony when you heard that?
I thought her testimony was very compelling, and she looks like a very fine woman to me. Very fine woman. And I thought that Brett's testimony, likewise, was really something that I haven't seen before. It was incredible. It was an incredible moment, I think, in the history of our country. But certainly she was a very credible witness. She was very good in many respects. And I think that I don't know if this is going to continue onward or are we going to get a vote. But again, I'm here, so I'm not out there watching because I can't be. Out of great respect, although maybe we'll go watch together. Okay, we'll watch together. But I think it will work out very well for the country. I just want it to work out well for the country. If that happens, I'm happy.
Have you thought at all about a replacement for Judge Kavanaugh?
Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit.
What's your message to Murkowski and his colleagues to hold on right now?
I have no message. I mean, they have to do what they think is right. There's no message whatsoever. They have to do what they think is right. They have to be comfortable with themselves, and I'm sure that's what they are.
Would you be willing to reopen the background investigation into Kavanaugh?
I'm going to rely on all of the people, including Senator Grassley, who's doing a very good job. That'll be a decision that they're going to make, and I suspect they'll be making some decision soon, whether to take a vote or to do whatever else they want to do. I will be totally reliant on what Senator Grassley and the group decides to do. Okay?
Are you going to talk about Venezuela today?
We're going to talk about Venezuela. Absolutely. I was waiting for that question. We will be discussing Venezuela, among many other things. A lot of interesting things going on in that part of the world. But Chile is really something special. If you look at what they've done, how far they've come, you look at how
well. So you're
well,
listening to President Donald Trump just moments ago. He's meeting with the president of Chile there, but he says that he has not been watching exactly what was taking place in the Senate today, but some unusual, extraordinary moments. Ellen Morrow is in Washington. I want to keep her there. John Northcutt is here with me in Toronto, but let's also bring in Sarah Lenti. She is a former Republican strategist who also worked in the George W. Bush White House, nominee Brett Kavanaugh was there at that time. And Sarah joins me from Denver. First of all, Sarah, I mean,
Yes.
Forgive us in Canada trying to make sense of all of this. I'm sure you're trying to make sense of all of this. Just your reaction so far to what Senator Flake has suggested, that he does not want this vote to go to the floor of the Senate before there is an FBI investigation into the allegations made against Brett Kavanaugh. What's your reaction to all this?
I'm relieved and very proud of Senator Flake. Senator Flake made the decision to not run again, I think largely because of the way things are shaping up in the Congress this past year and relationships with the president and the way just life in Congress. And, you know, many look to Flake or have been looking to Flake as the non-Donald Trump Republican, the Republican that gives them hope. And last night and earlier today, when I thought he was going to bring the vote, I was really disappointed and thinking, like, we thought you were different. We thought you were something special. So I'm extremely proud of him. I think that going with the FBI investigation is definitely the way to go. It checks the boxes. And so if Brett is innocent, then we'll find that out. And that will be a great thing.
Sarah, help us out here, because we heard the president there say, well, I'm going to rely on the Senate. I haven't really been watching. But then we heard Senator Flake say, no, it's up to the president or other senators. So can you help us?
Sure.
How does this, if an FBI investigation is going to happen?
To hear what the advice that they're going to give him, call the investigation. I think he's waiting to hear from them on the advice that they're going to give him regarding the type of investigation that they want. That they're is it a week long? How, what's the detail? And so I'm sure he'll take their counsel. And there are specific legalities and protocol that have to happen in terms of calling for the investigation, which will have to come from him. But my guess is that he's just waiting to speak to them and hear their counsel.
I see. Okay, so sorry, I was trying to understand what it was that he was.
That's
so
my
he's
gut.
basically saying, look, I'm busy with the president of Chile right now. I got to go figure out what it is that they were all voting on, what they were asking for, and based on that, I'm going to rely on them and rely on the Judiciary Committee, rely, I guess, on the Senate Majority Leader to figure out what it is that I, as president, will do.
Yes, and I think his tone was very different in terms of the way he spoke about Senator Collins and Senator Murkowski today, saying that they have to do what they're comfortable with, they have to do the right thing. That is not what I expected out of his mouth. And again, I was relieved to hear it, giving them the liberty to act and vote in the manner that they feel that they need to.
And so, Sarah, is this all possible? So he said a delay of the vote on the floor of the Senate for no more than a week. So can the FBI just kind of, jump in and do an investigation?
You would think they can.
Pardon? You
would think they can. That is a huge bureaucracy. Yes, I believe that they can do. If put down that path and commissioned by the president, they can get it done.
All
or
right.
they can learn a lot more.
Okay, and so why was that important to you? Why would that be important to you?
Because as a woman who is a former Republican, I stood and I watched the entire testimony yesterday, and Dr. Ford had very compelling evidence. And, I think for me, when she, at the beginning of her testimony, she said, look, basically, this happened to me. And I was watching earlier this summer the rollout of the potential nominees. And I think, if something bad happened to her, and it happened to her by Brett, and she's watching this list of potential nominees, and then he's named, of course, this has got to be a very difficult moment in her life. And I think she has every right to bring to her senators' attention the fact that, please reconsider. Now, the timing of the Democrats was awful here. You don't hold something like that. But I think she was brave. And look, if something terrible happened to her, I think we need to hear it, right? But if Brett is innocent, then let's have the FBI investigation and figure out what the true story is here. It was just very uncomfortable to me that, her evidence wasn't corroborated, her story wasn't corroborated, but at the same time, we don't have the full picture on the Kavanaugh side. So to just bring this to a vote and dismiss what this woman is clearly having, brought to the table, and it was not easy for her, it was just irresponsible. It's just irresponsible. So I'm proud that they're doing the responsible thing and letting the investigation bear itself out.
Why do you think what could an FBI investigation potentially learn that the Senate didn't learn yesterday?
I think they could figure some stuff out with Mark Judge. I think they can put a timeline together that she was not able to piece together. So I think between the Mark Judge and the timeline, I don't know if they're going to polygraph Brett again, but maybe they do, and maybe he comes across completely clean. Maybe we find that we don't learn anything more, right? But I think to at least, again, check that box and do our due diligence on this alleged assault is an important thing to do.
You worked with Brett Kavanaugh, right? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
So we were both at the White House.
Okay.
I was there from 2001 until 2005, and he was incredible to work with. He had of the highest esteem. Brett is a great man. So what she is alleging doesn't comport with the Brett that I know. At the same time, why would you fly yourself to Washington and put your family at stake just for the sake? Because on the other end, there could be a more conservative justice coming out of this whole process as he removes himself. For me, this wasn't just about her and Democrats trying to save themselves from a conservative judge, because they could ultimately get a more conservative judge as a result.
Do you have a sense of what exactly is happening now? So what happened in that vote by the committee and the importance of that vote and the next steps?
I think the next steps, I guess we're waiting on the advice that they're going to give the presidents. And then I think we're waiting for the investigation to bear itself out. And then they'll schedule the next Senate committee meeting to then, move the process on after they get the information that they need, or they will determine that they're not going to vote.